Well, good morning, Library Land. It's 7:30 on a Thursday morning. This is a coffee chat, but maybe you get to have tea with a Brit instead at 7:30. So, slip size demos for managing your library. We will be looking today. Um, Primarily, I'll be looking at the 5.8 interface, the customization that's available within the pack, and some of the things that you can do to make your pack at your school special to you, relevant to you, and distinct from the other schools in your district. And these are things that, as a media specialist, you can do very easily within the system. So I want to have a look at those. We'll touch very briefly, if we have time, on just a quick peek at circulation for those of you who haven't seen it before, and maybe a quick touch at cataloging as well. But the main focus will be on some of the things that we can do within the pack for your students. So with that, I have also with me today in the background is Ashley Chassé, and she is hosting today. Yeah, you probably won't hear much from her until the end, but so we'll come back and we'll look for some questions at the end of this. So with that, let's jump out of that and we will go into the system. So here is Sunset Middle School. I tried to do something sunsetty in terms of colors, and I'm not sure that's really worked here. But what we have here is a standard interface for a school library. Notice that I've got an icon here at the top. That's my own branding, my own colors, my own school badge, and then, of course, the name of the school. I can change all the colors, and we'll come to that in a minute. And then underneath, I've got this series of carousels that are available, and I can just click through those. And these are carousels we'll have to take a look at in a minute that I can build myself, and I can populate them using saved searches or saved lists. So with that, I can go into something like Alien Encounters, for example, and just click on a title, and I'm in the system. Okay. Anyway, let's back out of that a second and go back and look at what we can do here. So I'm not particularly happy with the colors and everything that I have here, and I'd like to change that. So I'm just going to log in briefly into my system. I'm going to log in as as a, a librarian, as a media specialist. And the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to change this icon here. And I want to use this one here. I think Sunset, since it's Sunset Middle School, I think that will be a better example. The other thing I can do is I can go down and I can change all the colors. And I can do that down here. I've got my primary and secondary colors, and I can use a color bar here. So I am just going to move this over, and I can move this up and down, but I am looking for something about there. I think that looks a bit nicer, but I can use this button here and move up and down and all around this color bar and throughout the spectrum. If I have a specific set of colors that I'm aiming for or that I want to use as part of my district branding, I can enter that here. Okay, so with that, I'm happy with those colors there, and I can just apply branding. If there was a problem with this, and that the contrasting was incorrect, then the system would come back and tell me that the contrast ratios did not meet WCAG compliance standards there, and it would tell me if my primary or secondary color needed to be changed. So in this case, I'm happy with that. So I'm just going to apply that branding. Okay, and my theme has been saved successfully, and that's what it's going to look like. So we go back up to the top, and now click on that, and now you can see that I have changed my colors, I've changed my icon, and I've been able to go in and do that very easily. So with that, that means then that I can do lots of things. Each school in my district can have a different set of colors, a different icon. I can have something bright and glaring for a Thursday morning. Perhaps this is a union catalog or a district-wide catalog if I want to see all of the e-resources that might be available throughout the system. So I can do things like that within the system. Okay, let's go back to Sunset Middle and let's go in and look at some of the other things that we can do there. So I'm just going to log out as a, no, actually, I'm going to stay here. The other thing I'm going to look at here is I'm not so sure I want to stay with this Alien Encounters thing. So I am going to go in as the librarian, and I'm going to look at not the branding this time, but the landing page configuration. And these are my carousels that I have, and I'm going to remove alien encounters, and I'm going to add a new list. Now, I can do that either from a configurated list, and these are all my lists here of books that I've built or carousels that I've built. In this case, though, I'm going to use a search instead. Notice I can also use external web services and new titles. I'm going to go for werewolves and vampires and zombies. Oh my. So I'm going to add that. That has been changed now. And now when I go back to Sunset, I now have werewolves and vampires as my carousel. So again, very easy to go through and make those sorts of changes to the system. Let me have a look. Anything else I want to do here? No, I think what we'll do now is we're going to just log out of that. And I'm just going to log in as a student for the next part of the demo. Obviously, you would be doing this with probably a single sign-on. This will be authenticated through your student information system. Okay, so I've logged in as Nick. And let's go off and have a look at some searches. So we already had a look at this issue here of looking at particular titles within the carousel, but let's go off and do a search. And I can never remember how to spell Rick Riordan, and I don't need to because the predictive searching within LS2Pack will give me some suggestions here. I want Rick Riordan, so I can pull that up. And I've got my result set. This is sorted by relevance, but I've got other indexes as well. Notice I've got 82 hits in the catalog, and then I'm getting results from external sources as well. With this, right away, I can see the information that I need. I can place a hold on the title. I can see it's available. I could add it to a list. I've got my shelf location, and I can just go in and click on it, and I can see the title itself. This is all customizable. I've got a link here. If I'm using teaching books, I've got integration to teaching books here. And also at the bottom, I can see not only things like Lexile and Accelerated Reader, but I can go down and see things like tags. I can allow my students to tag things if I wish. Okay. Other things I can do here, I can go off and look at all the related content. So we provide the full Syndetics feed, not just a partial feed like a book jacket or something. We give everything that's available through ProQuest Syndetics here. And so I can see similar titles. I can see similar authors. I can see a story finder that tells me more about this particular title, about this book. I can see the series that it belongs to and where I am in the series and whether the library has all the series. And maybe if I like this, I may also like other things, other top picks. Maybe there are other authors that I like. And then also there are librarian recommends lists, and this can come from Syndetics. These are lists that have been built around the country by like-minded librarians that are relevant to this particular search and this particular title. So those are some of the things that we can do there within the record. There's a huge amount of additional content that's available within this to engage your students. So two other things I want to show you here. One is the ability to browse a virtual shelf. And a little bit slow there. And here, from here, I can actually, in a sense, go to the shelf and see what are the books that should be on the shelf next to this book. And I can browse through that and select one of those if I wish. And then also from here, I can go in and without going back to the result set, I can just browse through all the results. And then if I wish, I can go back to results. Okay, I'm going to do another search now. And I'm favorite. And with this, I'm going to go in. And so we've got 13 hits here. Now I'm going to use the facets on the left. I'm going to limit this down by e-resources. And with that, I can go through and see. And I can see that these titles here are downloadable. That would take me to downloadable would take me to that vendor's website and authenticate me. And I would select from that website. Or, and we can do this with Mackin and Sora, is I can download directly from the catalog without leaving the catalog. So this is a Mackin ebook. I can just click OK, and then the system will come back and say, great, you want this item. Do you want to download it now, or would you like to download it later? And I could say, oh, I'll download it later. And then when I go home, I can log on with my own personal device and I can read the title there. So I can do those sorts of things. And you see here, I've got all my facets on the left here. I've got it defaulting to format, but you may want to have it default to genre. And with that, in fact, I can say that if we went over to this title here, and I just did a search for, say, ghosts, you can see that you can set the system up. This would require some sysadmin at your district level to go in. And now I can see that the facets here, I've opened them up, and the genre is the primary one, and that's open by default. So if genre is the most important facet for you, then we can certainly set that up for you. So those are some things that you can do there. Okay, I wanted to go back and show you one other thing here. We go back to Sunset. And we can do some advanced searching, Boolean searching. Don't want to show that right now, but what we can also do is search by reading level, Lexile and accelerated reader. I can play around with this and set those measures if I want, or I can just select an interest level and search a term like tigers. And now I'm getting all of my accelerated reader books and Lexile for a particular age group. And so you can set those. And now I've got my results set for tigers. Okay, so with that, let's go off and look at a couple of other things here. While I'm here, I'm in Nick's record right now. And so Nick has the ability to go in and look at his system. So here I am in Nick Johnson's record. I can view his loans and I can see the status of those, if any are overdue. As you see, he's downloaded some ebooks and he's waiting to download them here when he's at home. He can look at his holds, whether they're in transit or arrived or pending. If he had fines and you did that, if you turn loan history on, he could see that. And he can also, just as the librarian can create lists, Nick can create lists as well. And these are saved lists of titles that he might be interested in. And also he can save searches. So those are some of the things that you can do within this. Now, one other thing I do want to show you here is the ability for the teacher to do something similar. So say I'm a homeroom teacher and I want to keep track of what's going on with all my students there. So I'm just going to log in. As Sylvia Gonzalez. And Sylvia has all the same features as Nick did, but she also has the ability to go in and look at linked accounts. And this can be really useful. I'm going into the library. Now, what do I need to keep an eye on when we take the class in there? Oh, I can see that Andy here, Andy Estrella, he's got 2 items out. He's got an overdue and he's got an arrived hold. Oh, and it looks like he lost a textbook. So we've got some things to chase up with him. Now, what I don't do is I can't see what titles the children have out for privacy reasons, but I can see the status of their accounts. And that can be a useful thing for a homeroom teacher or a teacher taking the classroom in. So those are some things I want to show you there. The last thing I really want to show you is the ability within this system. We have responsive design. So that means whatever size screen that you have, you can just use that here. But I'm just going to jump into phone briefly. And you see here that I am now in Sunset Middle School. We changed the colors and everything. And I'm in a position to go in and start looking at individual titles and reading them. So again, responsive design here. We also have an app available, TLC Go. This is an extra cost. The responsive design is included as standard with the OPAC, but this is responsive design. This is the reading app, TLC Go. And you can put things in there like announcements and calendars and such like. You can push notifications to students, as well as have things like student resources, scan ISBN codes, and of course, search the catalog. Okay, so with that, let's move on and look at a few other things. What I'm going to do now is we're going to go back. We just looked at Sylvia Gonzalez just now, and she had seen her class. So let's go in and look at that. So this is Sylvia's class. I was here in her record, and you can see that she can quickly, or as a librarian, I can quickly go in and see all of Sylvia's class. And from here, I can, if I wish, navigate to a particular student, and I could start checking out books. So I'm just going to check out some books to Nick. What I want to show you here is just how easy it is to use circulation. You're going to be very busy in the library when a class comes in. You haven't got time to mess around with the system. So I'm going to show you, without touching the keyboard or the mouse, I've just checked out 2 books to Nick. Now, the system is waiting for me to check out another book, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to want in another student instead. And the system says, oh, a student. So it takes me to that student. And now I can start checking out books to her. Simple as that. Now, at this point, if I want to go to check-in, I can do that in 2 ways. I can move my mouse and click here on check-in, or I can just use a function key and I'm at check-in. And now let's go back in and check those books back in again. Notice here that I can click on the title and see a student. Sorry, I can click here on this field and see the student record. I can click here and see the item. Okay, so without doing anything else, the system at the moment is expecting me to check in another book. I'm not going to do that. I want to go back to checkout. Now I could click the checkout thing, but I'm going to just want in another student, and the system says, "Oh, you're not checking in a book. You're pulling up another student." So now I've got the student record up. And you can see here, without having to go through all the holds and charges and borrow information, without looking at all the details here, 1 arrived hold, 1 pending, a credit, a balance here in the account, 1 overdue. I've got all the important things are popping up here, and I cannot miss those. So with that, I could go in and say, oh, well, long overdue. Well, yes, if you notice here, this is in red. So immediately I can see which books are overdue. And I have a choice to see what information I have there. If I think the system holds is more important than the checkout date, I can move that around. If I want to choose other things in here, like I want to see the renewal count for that item, I can add that in there. And now I can see the renewal count because I want to see how many times Nick has renewed that title. And again, from here, I can go in and click on an item and take me to that book. Okay. So also I can go off and look at arrived holds. And so again, from there, I can go in and look at Nick's record and I can see the arrived holds for title. And I can see where Nick is in the queue and I can manipulate that queue if I need to. Again, I've got borrow information here. And all of this is being populated from my student information system. Lots of extra information can be loaded. So all the information about advisors and curriculum tracks and homerooms and periods and such like can be there. Notice also we've got basic things like 2 addresses, 3 email addresses, and I can also, if I wish, keep a loan history. Loan history can be turned on for the student, but can be restricted to just administrators or less for staff, if you wish. Okay, so going back to checkout again, with this, I can go through and look at an individual title. So I can just click on an individual title like this, and we find out we've got Finding Winnie, and I can see everything about that title right now. And also from there, I can go off and view a holds queue. If there was one for this title, I could view it in the pack, or I can go off to cataloging. Before we do that, however, I want to go off and show you one more thing. So I'm going to go into cataloging briefly, and then we're going to go back and look at one thing that I haven't mentioned yet. And that is the kids catalog. This is LS2 Kids. This is for your emerging readers. And what we have here is a graphical display of series books, series and chapter books, and categories. We curate this for you. So we have curated these lists. I'm a big fan of Pete the Cat. My grandson is a big Pete the Cat fan, and he is certainly cool. And so I can click on Pete the Cat, and I will see all of the Pete the Cat books that this location has It'll only show what my location has, and it will show them in publication order. And I can go through and scroll and see those. I can see which books are checked in, and I can see which books are checked out, and I can click on an item and see if that's what I want. And I can say, I want this. And it says, oh, this item's already checked out. Do you want it when it's checked in? And I say, yes, I do. And then I can log in, do it. The other thing I can do here is I can also explore categories. And so with that, I can go through, and again, we've curated these categories. We've kept it very flat. So I can go through and look at various categories. In this case, the Olympics is coming up this summer. And so I can go through and start looking at that. And these titles here, again, it could be a book, it could be a download, it could be a kit. All of those things are available. So I can click on that and see it. And again, if I'm looking for something specific, like a dinosaur, and I'm not quite sure how to spell dinosaurs, Scout is going to come up and say, oh, did you mean dinosaurs? Yes, I did. And off I go into my dinosaur books. And you see here, I can download this title if I wished. Okay, so with that, let's go back. We were in cataloging, from what I recall. So I'm just going to jump over here into cataloging. And you remember that we were in circulation, and I found a particular title, and I wanted to take that to cataloging. So a brief detour there while I remembered to look at LS2 children. And again, the LS2 pack there, that is for emerging readers. So that could be first or second grade, but it could also be for your students where English is a second language. And again, the LS2 Kids module, that is going to look at specific collections that you have, but you can also limit it to particular reading ages. So you can narrow the focus of Kids Catalog of LS2 Kids if you wish as well. Anyway, moving back to this. So we were in cataloging, and from there I can go off and I can see the basics. What you're seeing here is a form-based system, and I have the ability to go in and browse. So I could just click edit here, and I can go off and look at genres, for example, and I can add additional genres. So we can say children's characters. And I'm browsing now into children's genres. I can also do the same with subjects. So I can go in and drop into a subject browse, and I'm actually browsing LC. And I can go in and add additional subject headings, knowing that I am using full authority control in the system. I also have the ability to go down and add things like awards. So I can go in and add all my awards into this list. Again, a form-based cataloging, so that your librarians can go in and easily add titles to the system and make edits if they wish. Two things I want to show you in cataloging. The first one is the ability to import. Do I want to save those changes? No, I don't. I'm going to discard them. And I can go into import here, and I am just going to pull up a title. I've got my title wave items here, and I'm going to import them. And that's going to be a normal import. And I would just take my orders from whichever vendor I'm using, drop them there. And now I can go through and the system will walk me through adding those titles to the system. The other thing we can do here, and I'm just going to cancel that, is we can also do a special side load via FTP directly from your vendors. Those would include vendors like Mackin and Children's Plus books, yes. So that would load them directly into the system. Okay, two other things I want to show you briefly here. One is a fast add ILL, where I can go in and add an ISBN number and a title, and I can ask the system to upgrade and find a full mark record later. TLC provides free of charge in the first year, a database of over 40 million mark records. And so the system will search for an ISBN matching and overlay your brief record with a full record from TLC. The other thing I can do here is we can also do inventory from cataloging, and this is live. So you're going to be able to go to the shelf with a tablet or a laptop, and I can just go into fiction, and we'll finish off here, and I can just go in and start adding things to my inventory. If I add something to an inventory that shouldn't be there, it's going to tell me, oh, this item has already been inventoried. It's actually incorrect shelf location. So that's going to warn me right there. And then I can go off and review that. And if I'm happy with it, I could mark those other items as missing and close that inventory. So there's a basic view of some of the things that we can do within the cataloging module. There's a lot more to it than that, but those are some of the basics that are available. So again, to finish off there, what I want to tell you is that we have a very customizable interface for each of your schools in the district. You have control over that as a media specialist, and you can make regular changes to your carousels and interface here. We have the ability to provide your students with access to their records, and also teachers can go in and see the status of their students' standings with the library. The other thing again was the LS2 Kids, and again the ability to go through and search for categories and chapter books, and then the ability again to use staff and quickly jump between patrons, between students. So here I am with Andy, and I can just click here and I'm back to the class. And then I can go off and look at Alexander, and then I can click back and I can go off and do another student if I wish. Or of course, I have the ability to search for students by any number of different indexes. So that's a brief overview of the system. And thank you very much for joining us on a Thursday morning. So Ashley, I'll pass over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jerry. This has been great. And remember, for those who may have joined a little later, this will be up on our website at tlcdelivers.com/webinar. Right now, pardon me. I'm just going to launch a quick poll. If you'd like more information, just let us know. This is Gerry Davies. He is one of our amazing sales reps, along with Tammy Solom and Steve Mackey. So we'll make sure to send y'all on to the one who's onto the one who's for you. And again, thank you so much for joining us this early in the morning, and we hope you
Thank you.
have a wonderful day.
Okay, thank you very much.